Discovered I had a cardiac issue that is something that could be inherited and transmitted through families, and I thought there was no reason not to do something that could help others in a sort of similar situation.
MRI is a great research tool because it gives us a really good look at the heart in a way that other things can't. We get a really good idea about the function, we get a really good idea about the tissue of the heart itself. There's a whole range of information that we can get from an MRI.
MRI is the gold standard for imaging many cardiac diseases and problems. It allows us to look at the heart beating so we can work out how efficient the heart is working, what the structure of the heart is. We look to see if there's any areas of scar or fibrosis or damage within the actual heart muscle.
I got a telephone call first of all from the hospital and then received some letters through to tell me when my appointments were. You first see the receptionist and the receptionist, I told her why I was here. She, I think, made a call to the researcher that was conducting the study, who came down to meet me.
You'll be greeted by one of our reception staff and they will give you a form to complete. This is just an MRI safety questionnaire, and you would complete that form and then hand it back to reception, and then a radiographer or a doctor will then go through the form to make sure that you're safe. When you go into the MRI machine, it has a very strong magnetic field which is on all the while. So it's important that we make sure there isn't any metal in your body. Any of the implants that you may have in your body are safe to be scanned, but there are some things that are unsafe or potentially what we call conditional, which means that they can be scanned if we meet certain conditions on the manufacturer's guidelines.
Obviously you have to remove all items of jewellery, a watch or anything like that, so that, because it's obviously a highly magnetic machine.
We will be providing you all the clothes that you need, so you don't need to think about anything particular clothing wise. Just try and remove all your jewellery before you attend.
I think there was a locker that I put stuff in actually before going into the room, and then things that I had to wear right until the last point, like glasses, I just left with them while I was in the scanner.
You'll be taken through to our patient preparation area. You'll be offered a locker where you can remove your clothing. We'll ask you to keep your underpants or knickers on, but bras must be removed. And you'll be given pocketless scrubs to get changed into. And this is to reduce any cross-contamination in between patients and research participants.
I was a little bit surprised to learn that I had to have a cannula put in, and for the purposes of this fluid that allows them to see properly in the scans, I think. It was in my arm around here that they put it. It was fairly straightforward actually, I needn't have worried.
For many of our studies, we do require an injection of a dye or a contrast media, and that is quite routine. In order for us to undertake this, we need to give you a cannula. Normally cannulas are fitted either in the back of the hand or more commonly sited in the elbow area, just inside. So the dye moves around the body, and if there's any areas of inflammation or scarring or an increased blood flow, the contrast will then sit there and then it shines nice and bright on our images. Then one of our team will explain the process to you and explain the breathing instructions and what will be expected when you go into the room.
And I was taken through to the place where they conduct the scan. There was a sort of lobby room where all the controls were, and then I was taken into the room with the scanner. I got onto the sort of tray that they sort of slide you in on, so yeah.
Most of our patients or participants go in head first, but there is an option for you to go in feet first. We have a range of measures that we can use to help you. Some of our patients like to use an eye mask. We also have prism glasses or a mirror that we can attach over the top, and it has a periscope so that you can see out.
I went in head first. I was just told to relax. I was given some headphones which were playing the radio. I was told beforehand that obviously the instructions would come in through the headphones as well, so that I could hear the operator or the voice telling you to breathe at the appropriate times. They're obviously trying to get lots of different images, I think, and you're given instructions as to when you need to breathe normally or breathe in, breathe out and hold your breath. I think I was expecting them to tell me to breathe in and hold my breath, but in fact it was the opposite. It's you breathe in, breathe out and then hold your breath. It was usually probably about 10 seconds maybe. It didn't feel particularly onerous or uncomfortable. You're obviously inside a fairly confined space, but there's a decent amount of space between your head and the sort of ceiling of the machine. I use the opportunity to relax a little bit and get away from emails and stuff. So.
Some of our routine scans take approximately 45 minutes, but some of our more comprehensive research scans can take up to 2 hours. Each picture that we take is a breath hold, and it's triggered off your heart. So you'll hear the breathing instructions through the headphones, and typically we will take about 50 pictures for an average scan, but this obviously can be increased for some of our more complicated research scans. There is a gap in between each breath hold, and we can shorten the breath holds if you are struggling, and we'll be communicating with you throughout the scan, and you'll hear us talking to you through the headphones, and there is an intercom and we can hear you if you call out to us.
They can hear you, I think, when you speak in the machine, so there wasn't any trouble in hearing me or anything like that. And I think we did communicate on a couple of occasions, and it was like talking to someone. The scanner's pretty noisy. You hear, I mean, you have headphones on, so obviously some of that's dampened by the headphones, but you do hear lots of sort of clacking and mechanical noises. Some of it's quieter than other bits. It's not sort of a constant noise, but yeah, it's louder than you expect, I think. Not uncomfortably so, just surprisingly so.
When we're in the middle of scanning, the intercom system is switched off, but we give you a buzzer. So if there's any problems or you need to contact us urgently, just squeeze the buzzer, we can pause the scan, we can have a chat, and then we can continue the scanning.
Yeah, it's a really straightforward thing, and I don't think it's anything to really be concerned about at all. It went very smoothly, and yeah, it was just a bit of time to get away from the world for me.
After each picture we acquire, the radiography team and the doctors are looking to make sure that the image quality is sufficient. And we'll also make sure that you haven't moved during the course of the scan, and you might have moved position, and we may need to repeat scans. So as we're going along, we're constantly performing quality assurance checks. I
was told by the people controlling it that the scan had finished, and then I was taken out, and that was it.
The body will excrete the contrast out naturally, so you urinate it out. It's always a good idea to have a couple of glasses of water when you finish the test, just to help encourage that through. I
was told that I needed to make sure that I was properly hydrated the rest of the day, just to make sure that the dye or whatever it was that was used went through my system normally. I went into the clinical room and had the cannula removed, and then I was told I could go and get changed back into my clothes and get my stuff from the locker.
Research scans are not reported in the same way as scans that are done for clinical reasons. So there isn't a report that goes to the doctors as such. If we see something on the scan that worries us, then we can report that individually and feed it back to the patient's clinical team. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be that much in the way of individual feedback for the scan. Patients will, however, find out the results of their study, but it's important that we bear in mind that that can take sometimes a really long time. It can be several years sometimes before you hear what's happened.
I was told that I probably wouldn't receive any feedback on my own results or details of those results, but the researcher mentioned that I would possibly receive the results of the study overall, but that's likely to be a few years down the line because these studies take a bit of time.
The aim of these trials is to learn more about the heart conditions that our patients have, learn more about how we can manage them and how we can treat them. So we're really looking to move forward with what information we know about these conditions. And so people taking part in the study can know that they are helping us move forward with the knowledge of the condition, and hopefully one day we'll be able to manage them much better than we are now.
The results of these trials can benefit people like you, and if it's something that you can do to help those sorts of studies, then without any real discomfort or inconvenience, which I think this sort of procedure doesn't, for most people, involve any kind of discomfort, then it's something which you should do, and it's really helpful for the advancement of these areas.
Patients are so valuable when it comes to research studies, and the participation, the time that they give up is really, really important. So we do appreciate everything that patients do in signing up for these studies.